Like, how long have you guys been streaming?
A while. It depends on whether it's like just me or like with or for someone else.
Just like, when did you guys start out?
2016, probably.
2016. Okay. What about you, Sin?
I've been at it for about a year now. About a year now.
About a year. Nice. Cool. So, you guys have been doing it long enough where you'll hit the live button and something will be off, right?
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Oh yeah. All the time.
Every time. What's your favorite one of those?
A regular occurrence on my stream is everything. The in-game, my music and myself will all drop like 3 or 4 octaves.
Yeah.
And so like you're listening to some high-pitched like
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Old Town Road especially sounds great on that. We've discovered.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be audio for me, man. Like
Okay.
audio, whether it be, hey, your game's too high, hey, you're too low, or hey, I can't hear you at all, and I won't find out until like 20 minutes in because nobody said anything.
Oh yeah.
Or they can hear all your friends in Discord, but not you.
Yeah. You're very low. You're very low right now. Did you know that? Yeah. No, I didn't. I've been doing this for like an hour.
Thank you for saying something. I've been live for 3 hours. Yeah, exactly. Been there so many times. Or my favorite is when nobody tells you to change the screen.
Oh yeah.
So you play like an entire quick play match or something, and then you turn around to look at it, and you're like, oh, you guys have been looking at Be Right Back or Intermission for a hot minute now.
My favorite thing that I've done is that I'll have hit a close-up. I have 2 close-ups.
Yeah, I have 1 close-up, and that's the one that always gets stuck for me.
And so like they're like, hey, you need to trim your nose hairs or something, dude, because there's some stuff going on with your face. It's like, what? Pardon? Excuse me?
I put a soundboard into my stream, so now they play MLG air horns every time I forget. So like
awesome.
Occasionally I'll be like starting a match and I'll be like, okay guys, we got to do this, and here suddenly here.
You just hear like a giant blast of air horns straight to your ear holes.
It's pretty loud.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, guys, let's kick it off. We're gonna do a quick and dirty tonight. Welcome, everyone, to episode 234 of the Planet Destiny podcast. My name's Danfinity, and I will be your host this evening. TBL and Aura are out for the weekend. With me this fine evening, we have 2 members of our new Planet Destiny Twitch team, Rock Whisperer and SinOnTwitch. Hey, guys. How you doing?
Wonderful.
What's up, everybody?
So before we get to talk to them, I'm just going to do a quick note at the beginning of stream here. You're just here for the mustache? Everybody's here for the mustache.
That's my brother.
That's awesome. So,
Brother Burn.
The new weekly Twitch schedule includes Rock Whisperer from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern on Monday, followed 9 to midnight by Third Echelon. Tuesday, we have Zeralius from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern, followed quickly thereafter by Pale Rider from 7 to 10. Wednesdays, Peter Pumpkins from 4 to 7 p.m., followed by SinOnTwitch from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Thursdays, Iceman, his schedule is fluctuating, so he'll be from like 2 to 5 p.m. every odd Thursday. And Obi Katie Cat, hi Obi, she will be streaming from 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Friday is still held high in regards by Bo Solaris from 7 to 10 p.m. and Light Razor DD will be from noon to 3 on Saturdays. Welcome, guys, to the team.
I love that name, by the way, Light Razor DD.
Light Razor.
He's such a cool name.
He's been around a while. I've known him quite a long time. He helped me get my recluse, actually.
Oh,
Very nice guy. Very nice guy. So, enough about Light Razor and how great a guy he is. Guys, welcome to the Twitch team. How do you feel? Are you guys feeling okay?
Feeling all right. Always a little nervous with new steps and anything.
Yeah.
But feeling good.
I'm definitely feeling nerves, but it's nothing that I think like you often think nerves as something that can't be overcome in the moment, but once you're in the moment, sometimes you're just like, this ain't that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad. You're here.
Nah.
You're here. You're
I'm
in
doing
the
this right
limelight.
now.
You guys have earned a spot on the wall of Planet Destiny, wherever that may reside. I don't know where the walls of Planet Destiny are. I have no idea. I think it's just on the internet.
Redacted location.
Yeah. I'm not able to disclose that location. But anyways,
Currently quarantined.
Introduce yourselves. Where do you guys come from? Let's start with you, Rock.
So my name's Rock Whisper. My actual name is Stone, so that's where that came from. By day, I stream Pacific Standard Time in the morning, and then at night, I work as an axe master at a local axe throwing bar. So I teach people how to properly throw axes. Basically, on slow nights, weeknights, I just spend 8 hours throwing axes every night, and it's a wonderful experience.
So what is what's the secret behind throwing an accurate axe?
Oh, listen to your coach, obviously.
Clearly, okay.
But the biggest thing is everyone comes in there and they just want to huck that axe right through the target.
Yeah.
I can't blame them. I try to do it all the time. It's not going to work. The axe is just going to bounce right out every time. You really need to focus on making sure you get the rotation right so that the blade is hitting it at an angle and not straight forward.
That's awesome.
But there is the rare experience. We have a pitch black escape room maze underneath that is completely haunted. There's a Netflix episode about it, actually. And I'm one of the actors in there.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what's like one of the haunted things that you've experienced? Have you experienced any haunting things down there?
Yes. Too many to count.
All right.
It's terrifying. The ghost and I have a spoken agreement. But so what it is like the experience I had was like, I was starting one by a group by myself. Typically, there's 2 actors in there. But one of them, like the one actor, she was teaching an axe group. So the team gets started, and I'm a little bit further up in the maze, and I'm waiting for them to get to me so I can scare them. And there's someone behind them that they're freaking out to. As it's not like typically we have an actor behind them scaring them the whole way up, and then we have someone take over halfway through. So I assumed that my coworker had made it down and was scaring them. So I left a few things open so that she could still get through behind me, so that way people weren't closed off from behind. So I'm scaring the team for a little bit, and I realized that something wasn't set up properly. So I run back to our staging room to grab a proper lock. Yeah. And I see my coworker sitting in there, and she's like, "How's it been going? They're getting scared and everything?" And I was like, "It's been going great. They're absolutely terrified. You did amazing at the beginning." And she was like, "I just got down here. I don't know what you're talking about." I definitely heard someone like I watched this group walk past, and I heard someone walking in the room next to me, like through an open door. It's pitch black, so you can't actually see anything. And so I was just like, oh, that's a wonderful thing to hear. I don't want to go back in there anymore. At least for that night.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
That sounds almost as scary as Trials right now. Sin, what about you? Yeah. Where do you come from?
Wow, man, way to put me on the spot.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you've been haunted?
It's like I agreed to this or something.
Yeah, right?
No, my name is Sin. You can find me on Twitch at SinTrigger96. It's an old name. Twitch won't let me change it, but I go by Sin on Twitch over on all my other socials and while in stream. But my real name's Matt. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The city is Steel. I'm a systems analyst. I work with a lot of tech. I work with a lot of data. I'm a very analytical person, so you can kind of expect that from time to time in streams, but I'm not super uptight about it. I do like having fun. I'm a huge PvP player. I'm a huge PvE player. I do a lot of raiding with different groups. When Shadowkeep came out, we were running people through their first Divinity run and everything. Sweet. So do a lot of instruction. I do a lot of like weapon damage and analytics, and I don't have any ghost stories that I can think of. But
that's fine.
But that's me. That's me. I just like to bring a fun, engaging environment to the table, and I love helping people, meeting new people, hanging with new people. That's really what I'm here for.
That's awesome, man. So,
So
what's your favorite class to run and your specialty in Destiny 2?
Well, there's only one class that's respectable enough to run, and that's the Titan class.
All right.
Obviously.
Well, guys, that's been a great episode of episode 234 of the Destiny podcast. Are you guys both Titans?
no.
Okay. All right. All right.
I'm a day one warlock all the way through.
Oh man. Okay. It just keeps getting worse.
So Dan's a little slippery. I gotcha.
So
Slimy hat.
So it's been you this entire time in trials.
oh man. Jeez Louise. Anyway, so what do you guys prefer to do in Destiny 2? It's a big sandbox game. You can play PvE, you can play PvP, you can play PvEvP. What do you guys like to do?
I think I do PvP probably 70 to 75% of the time. It's just
Okay.
easier to do with bigger groups. So whenever, like, as the day goes on and we keep clumping people on into our group, we just end up doing PvP because at some point we'll have more than 3 people and be like, all right, let's start hopping into quick play lobbies and doing whatever Rat King loadout we feel like.
Yeah. It's a pretty good time for it this season. Yusin?
I'd say that, it's kind of a 50-50 mix for me. Kind of, it just depends on the week. If there's something new, I'm kind of out there grinding whatever's new. If there's something substantial in the lore, this is very important when it comes to me. I am a huge lore guy.
That's awesome.
And so is a buddy of mine. So what we'll do is oftentimes you'll find us just sitting there for hours, just playing whatever PvP, PvE, but also theory crafting and
So how did
talking.
you feel about the quests for Bastion and that whole puzzle?
That whole thing
Just
was a
sitting
little
in a
interesting
whole
for
time?
us. A little interesting for us, because it was a weird time where a lot of us were we weren't taking a break, but we weren't playing as much. But I was still in there, but my typical crew wasn't really running as much as they typically do. So, lore wise is pretty neat. I really liked last season for what it did lore wise. Bringing Saint back, that was a really cool story beat that,
Yet
is-
another wonderful Titan that everybody
which-
adores.
he likes his borbs. But
can't.
yeah, so I mean, all this Lord Fellwinter stuff that's being talked about is really neat, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see what transpires from that.
Exactly. Yeah. For those of you who don't know at home, it seems there might be a little bit more to this season than what first appears. We won't dive too hard into it because we're getting into major possible spoiler territory. But if you, I think Houndish has a video on it somewhere. I think we might have a video on our YouTube as well to check out as well.
If you want to avoid spoilers, the person I've been using is Bife because he
Bife.
doesn't deal with anything that hasn't been properly released. So that's a safe option.
That's awesome. So when did you guys start playing, and what's your favorite memory from Destiny?
I started playing right after Rise of Iron started.
Okay.
And I think my favorite memory is still just from when Garden released. I grinded really hard, stayed up all night, like grinding the night before, and just decided to start streaming at like 4 a.m. And then by the time we were quitting on, giving up on the day one run with my group because everyone was just too tired. One of our guys had a migraine. I looked over and I'd been live for like 23 or 24 hours. And I was like,
oh, I need to go to bed.
Oh my gosh. I was like, all right, guys, peace out. I'm leaving.
That's awesome. Rad
I've
Sin?
never fallen that hard into the game before.
That's awesome.
Let's put it this way. I was there for it all.
Okay.
My first experience with Destiny was actually the night it came out. A high school buddy of mine lived down the street from me. He had just gotten a PS4 and was like, hey, come play this game. We stayed up all night just exploring and checking things out. And 2 weeks later, I decided, hey, I'm going to get it myself. Kind of fell off in the first year. But once Taken King came around, it was really cool because I was at college at that point. And coincidentally, my 4 roommates all played Destiny. So we had an entire crew. We skipped class for a couple days and we just grinded out Taken King when it came out. And that really, I think that's what really solidified my love for the game, the community, and like everything in between. So it's pretty cool. Awesome. It's pretty cool. You know, I was kind of there for all the major beats throughout the history of it, which is pretty nice.
I started picking mine up. I picked it up shortly after release. I worked at a library and was like, what is this? Like, I'd never played Halo or anything, so I just I knew that Bungie had a pedigree, so I was like, I'm going to try it out and see how it is, and I've been here ever since. It forced me to buy a console, and it's been a love story.
Me playing Destiny forced a friend of mine to buy a second console so I could play with.
That's awesome.
So.
That's
oh
great.
Man.
Oh man. Okay, so when you guys stream, not just here on the channel, but on your own channels as well, what can people expect to see from you when you're live?
Predominantly raids and PvP.
Okay.
Currently, I should say. I was telling you guys earlier, I've fallen into the trials trap, and if I don't spend a certain amount of time playing PvP, I feel like I'm gonna atrophy and not be able to compete or something like that. Also, this is now I think the sweatiest season in comp, as everyone who wasn't able to before is going for their final 5,500, like myself, get unbroken, and I am struggling to get past 4,000 glory.
Gotcha.
Oof. Yeah, for me, I mean, it's PvE with my clanmates and, you know, with friends, with viewers. It's PvP. It's general discussions. You know, we like to have discussions on, you know, the state of the game, both good and bad, but, you know, nothing crazy. You know, I like to keep up on the most recent of the recent. And I like to think I do a good enough job of that when you come to my channel, you might be finding things out that you didn't know happened, and they might have just happened like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So
how do you guys feel about the current season in Destiny 2 and the seasonal model overall?
I'm not the biggest fan of it personally, mostly because of the whole idea of drip fed content. I'm just not used to it. I don't care for it overall. I do enjoy that I have stuff to look forward to, though. Like, that is nice, knowing that, like, oh, halfway through the season, I'm going to be able to get a different exotic, and there's going to be something to do for that. I like that. But I'm not the biggest fan. I do like their battle pass.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I like the seasonal model to certain degrees, I would say. It's the best way I can put it. You know, it's not as heavy as we had in year 2.
Right.
For, you know, with the 2 somewhat major drops where we got 2 raids and all of this extra content, you know, that stayed in the game. And it kind of came out over time. Now we still have like the coming out over time. It feels a little light on PvE this season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that has, you know, there's a lot out there that might say that has something to do with trials, but trials has been in the works for a long time. And I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it to certain degrees.
Yeah.
I think it's more important to just think of, you know, what we have now, what we can do with it, and how it will impact things later on. You know, we have the Warmind Cell mods. We have kind of a new mechanic being put into the game. But the grind is, to me, the grind feels not great, but not horrible either. If you know where you're going to do things, like if you're focusing on the grind, it's not terrible.
Right.
But if you're trying to get other stuff done in the process, it becomes a little tedious.
Yeah.
It's definitely forced me to explore the game more, which is nice.
This season definitely feels to me like it's a bone thrown to the PvP side. With the PvP. So. Yeah. I think so. It's a little weird how they've integrated the token system into trials and Iron Banner. It's funny that you can't turn those in until you hit like certain marks.
Yeah.
So currently, my Iron Banner quest up right now is set to it's incomplete because I didn't talk to Saladin first before reset. So I have like 1,000 or like close to 1,000 tokens just kind of sitting on them now. And I'm like, I should probably go do that.
Yeah, I slugged that out on 3 characters, and
I only did it on 1.
It actually wasn't. It wasn't too bad. I feel weird saying that it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't.
For me,
terrible. It was the fusion rifle step. I just can't do that. I just can't use fusion rifles. That one took me like 10 games. Everything else was like one game, and I was on to the next one.
I got a nice Wizened Rebuke. I talked about this last week on the show, but I got a nice Wizened Rebuke and kind of like did that thing real quick, and was surprised by the bow and the steps to the bow.
The bow's nice. The bow is actually a nice bow. If I have surprisingly a number of friends that love using bows in PvP, and they've all kind of swapped to that as their bow now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vorpal weapon is that strong of a perk, apparently.
It is pretty good. It is fairly good.
Yeah, we did some damage testing on it, and it's like it's like a 2-tap on most supers.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
What do you use on your bow? On that bow? To get those numbers? Is it just the Vorpal?
It's the Vorpal. I think it's just the Vorpal.
Okay.
I didn't do as in depth as I probably should have realistically, but I would say it's more than likely the Vorpal, because the impact on that thing is already really high. And that's where some of those damage numbers are coming from. So
that's interesting. Okay, cool. Have you guys managed to go flawless this season?
Yes, I've done it. I've only done it once, actually. I've hit 7 wins a few times, but I did the flawless once, and that was my first time ever. I was not able to in Destiny 1.
Okay.
For sure.
So I've been flawless in Destiny 1, and I have been screaming internally about trying to get flawless on Destiny 2. If anybody follows me on Twitter, they've been following the saga of me saying, hey, anybody want to help me this weekend? And I'm just like, you know what? It's like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna take the easy way here and be like, hey, friends, let's do this. Let's see if we can do this together. And that hasn't done well at all.
That's how you lose friends.
Yeah.
I've started to lose my sanity over it, man.
Let's hold tight to that. That's sometimes all we have.
Yeah, I know. No, I mean, it's not quite there yet, but yesterday I stood up, walked outside of my room, sat on the couch, and I just stared at a wall. But it's pretty hectic out there, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty hectic out there.
Yeah, it's pretty hectic out there.
That's wild.
I've yet to run it. I've been planning on trying to, but it just hasn't come up. And I'm wondering if this season I'll even get the moxie to do it. But this week in the TWAB, see how effortless that was. This week in the TWAB, we got some news about certain anti-cheats, some card rewards, some disconnections and fair play. So let's get into the TWAB, guys. You ready?
Yeah.
I had a question I wanted to start it off with. They mentioned that their anti-cheat is something that we just can't, that isn't as visible as others.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like it's working? Or do you like, how do you guys feel about that statement just in general? I know that's the one that I've been hearing the most people talking about. And I feel like they do have some sort of anti-cheat, but I feel like it's a very basics version. Like it's very minuscule in comparison to other things or other games.
Yeah.
Like bans and stuff.
Well, and there's also the comment that they were like, we wanted to make sure it didn't come out half baked, which I think like an anti-cheat would have to be a part of that. Yeah.
Well, especially when
part of it.
When DDoSing was such a problem, like was so prevalent beforehand, you would assume that would still be on their mind when they're dealing with it.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to invisible anti-cheats, I mean, I can't speak to it. I'm not a developer, but I have some technical know-how in the ways of programming. And I understand from a security perspective why they wouldn't disclose what exactly it is, because there might be people out there that know how to get around that kind of thing if they are so inclined to put in the effort to do so. But I feel like what we see on the surface is just report through their in-game system, and then we have people combing through these, Yeah, but that's just what we see on the surface. We don't know. There might be something down below hidden in the game's code somewhere that detects certain things. But there comes a really funky line where you have stats of people that might just be that good. And it's just gathering from what I've seen so far via Twitter, the TWAB, what's been talked about. It seems like it's it's almost like a stat based kind of anti-cheat where they see some ridiculous things on the stats level, then they might investigate it.
Yeah. Well,
But
and that
you can't confirm that.
yeah, that comes with like there was a tweet by Benji earlier this week. Let me find that real quick. Sorry. Didn't expect to be talking about that. But so there was he was talking about the amount of people who went flawless and who participated in he was talking about the trials population last week and the number of times a free aimbot had been downloaded, and a message on the website of said aimbot
was like 300,000 times. When I checked at one point, and I was reading a statistic about the first week of trials where there was something like only 800,000 players in it. Yeah, that was the first weekend.
Yeah.
So if you have to imagine by the second weekend, 300,000 people have an aimbot for Destiny in something that's going to have less than 800,000 people, you're already hitting close to half the populace.
Yeah. And yet there was bound to be, in my opinion, there was bound to be kind of like a drop off just in how they implemented trials. That first, like the first weekend, it's got the hype. Everybody's behind it. Everybody's rushing in to get their gold, and then, it
was really easy to go flawless day one.
Exactly. And so the second time around, it not only gets harder because everybody's like boosting up in light and everything, but they're also trying to possibly using these cheats or getting disconnected, and the frustrations from the first weekend as well feeding into that. You're going to see a significant drop off that maybe the most hardcore players, such as yourselves possibly, would be more enticed to keep going for like a title or something. But I don't know.
Yeah, and something that myself and a clanmate of mine have been working on, just for the general community at large, we've been working on an actual trials trend list where, it's all the data from trials.report over the past historical weekends of trials that shows the differences week to week on the player base, flawless cards earned, matches, etc. And, we saw a pretty significant drop between the anomaly, which was week 2, and Widow's Court. And I'm not sure if cheating has anything to do with that, but there are some numbers in there that were pretty shocking.
Yeah. And like Sperry says in chat, 300,000 downloads does not equal 300,000 individuals using said exploit.
Absolutely. But it does show that a large population of it is interested in it. And that's the concern, I guess, is what we should be saying.
Yeah.
If the interest in that kind of a thing is going up, that's a very bad sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. And going even further into that. So in the TWAB, they state, for card rewards, we've been discussing feedback around a lack of incentive for players to go flawless. We understand that some players have found the first few games to be more lucrative, which we'd love to shift to the later games. Early card token farming, as some would call it, is something that we are very interested in solving. We want to make sure that every Destiny player who wants to play Trials has something to show for it at the end of their weekend. Additionally, we've seen feedback that the Flawless chest isn't comparable with the rewards associated with grinding out Nightfalls. This is something that we'd love to improve upon. There are quite a few ways we could approach this, and we're currently discussing what would be best for Trials in the long run. What do you guys think of that?
Well, it's definitely not as
section?
Lucrative as Nightfall.
Right.
Because those are currently bugged and giving you twice the loot. Do you guys know if over the weekend they're giving 3 times like everything else is?
Oh,
I was curious if they were just, the bug was allowing them to do the same like XP gain kind of thing as every other activity.
Yeah, we were doing, I think we were getting double rewards. Like myself, every Sunday, myself and my friend Mills, we jump in and we help people with PvE activities on PS4. And we were helping people get their like 100K double rewards today. Yep. It was quite ridiculous.
It's amazing. I did 3 nightfalls a night for like 4 days, and I was able to masterwork all my armor. And I was like, oh, that was really easy. It took me probably like 30 minutes almost, maybe a little bit more, to get 3 nightfalls done every night.
Mm-hmm.
You got 3 guys and you're on the right loadout. You guys can get through really quickly, and it just makes going flawless really pointless, other than saying, I went flawless.
Yeah.
Unless you really want the weapons.
Right now, going flawless kind of just feels like I did it.
Kind of. Yeah, it feels like for me, it was mostly being able to say I've gone flawless. Now I have a whole lot less desire to. I go for whatever weapon it is that week. Yeah. This weekend it was the fusion, so I just stepped away and said I don't really mind.
Okay.
Not participating.
So how do you guys feel about the weapons that are rewarded in trials this season?
I love them.
I do love the weapons. Astral Horizon is probably one of my favorite kinetic shotguns to have come out so far in Destiny 2. I got a really nice one with I think it's the quick draw snapshot, maybe. I have to double check on that, but it's a really nice roll, and that thing just rips. It rips in Crucible.
It's a great Mindbender's replacement, taking up a different slot. I hate to say that. As a mindless Titan, though, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw it.
Yeah.
The Summoner, the auto rifle, is really nice. You can get some crazy rolls on that.
Yeah.
Just between, I don't know, it just depends on what you're really looking for. If you're looking for damage output with new numbers that auto rifles are doing in damage, it's great to have any damage dealing perk. You're going to be hitting like a truck. But then I know a lot of people are going for just like the biggest mag size they can.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I keep seeing. I've been watching my friend Nathan Sane over the weekend, and he was using the new auto rifle, and it looks pretty neat. It looks like the spread on it is tighter overall. Yeah, is that correct?
Which is it? Summoner you're talking about?
I believe it is Summoner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the Trials one. Yeah. The spread's a little bit tighter on it.
That's
awesome.
I
think
the Summoner is absolutely a laser beam.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I mean not as much as Hard Light, but yeah.
Moving into disconnections. We've been investigating an issue that prevented us from enabling rejoin options when trials first launch. The short version, a player's score could reset if that player left and rejoins the match. Since we've resolved this issue, we are currently planning to enable rejoin in update 2.8.1. Additionally, our teams are continuing to investigate the rise in error codes since the launch of the season. This is one of our top priorities, and we've made some progress in identifying the issue. What's left is developing a fix and testing it. We need to take the appropriate time here to avoid introducing any further issues into the game. So
I think that should be the top priority.
Yeah. Have you guys had a lot of disconnects from not only trials but also Destiny as a whole? It's been kind of unstable since the last update.
Absolutely. It's been insane. The number of times where we've been like, I don't know, the number of trials cards I've lost to disconnects is ridiculous. But then even then, just trying to, like, we've gotten to the point where we had 6 guys playing quick play because we were all bored. We didn't know what to do, and we just stopped because we couldn't go through a single game without at least 4 of us getting disconnected, or one person would always end up running around, not being able to do damage with any of their weapons, but they can't be seen by anybody.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest, like, laggy bug that happens, but
yeah. It seems like there's. It seems, I don't know if it's like the possibility of them working from home on this. I'm not saying anything like about that, but like I don't know if maybe they're not able to test it as accurately as they would maybe at the home office or at the office. Or
I'm assuming it might. My guess is always just it comes down to the communication. When you're at home, it's going to be a lot slower to get things to each other and implemented.
Yeah.
So I would assume this is something that we would normally have fixed like really quickly and we wouldn't have really noticed. But since everything is moving now at a snail's pace, we just have to kind of live with it for a short period.
Yeah, I definitely think them working from home has put, a strain on some aspects of what they more than likely would typically do in an office setting. You know, teams can't quite meet face to face as frequently as saying, "Hey guys, let's go to a conference room," or like, you know, certain things, certain aspects, you know, I'm sure are very tough on them right now, which could be playing into some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But personally, I haven't really faced too many disconnects. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't have any magic secret sauce to fix that, but I just haven't dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird. I think I've maybe gotten disconnected once.
Yeah.
So far.
I don't want to say any false information, but I know there was like in game that'll tell you like you might need to change your router settings to a specific.
Oh yeah, port forwarding. Yeah.
That will definitely help.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm still getting disconnections after doing it, so I'm not.
I'm getting more
convinced.
after doing the port forwarding. I'm seeing more weird issues within my party, where it's like, especially on PC, sometimes on PlayStation, where like somebody will have joined the game after you've already been in an instance, and it doesn't get in. It's I don't know. It's just some of the instability stuff here and there. I know it would be fixed in a version where, you know, we all were working at top capacity. But yeah, it's a pretty crazy world out there right now.
I was gonna say it's kind of wild to deal with, because you want to get super frustrated when you're sitting there seeing all your friends as a blacked out emblem and at zero light, and you're like, well, I have no idea what's going on, but we can at least still talk to each other over Discord. And you're like, well, I can't really get mad though. Like, I understand the circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're just kind of cycling through this weird set of emotions.
Yeah.
I've resorted to making fun of all my friends that are 0 power right now.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you're over 1,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Flexing. That's always a good choice.
The deep flex. All right. When it comes into fair play, we'll move to there. We've seen reports from players that have encountered cheaters in trials over the last few weekends. What follows is a quick update on what we've been doing to improve your experience and what we're discussing internally for future improvements. To restate the note in the intro, some of these items may not be addressed for some time, as we're in early conversations, but we wanted to give you an update of what's going on behind the scenes here at Bungie. The first one is our anti-cheat is not as visible by design, something that you touched on earlier, as some security products. However, we regularly detect and remove thousands of malicious accounts from the PvP ecosystem. On the front lines, we continue to implement new anti-cheat improvements during patch releases. We don't include these in the patch notes for obvious reasons, and are always investigating new approaches as cheat developers adapt to our latest tech. Many of the cheats you may find in the wild already have some detections and countermeasures deployed in our development, with work being done constantly to keep them updated against new threats. Because cheat developers don't stop, we know we have to keep working to improve these systems. Note, this is a tricky line to walk, as we don't want to punish any innocent players that may consistently have high stats due to extreme skill, game bugs, or game logic exploits, which Bungie considers our fault. We are also working with our platform partners to identify ways in which we can further strengthen our security, and we are investigating ways in which we can let you know when your reports have resulted in a permanent ban or a temporary restriction. They then go forth to say, hey, here's our reporting of suspected cheating contact form. So how do you guys feel about that overall?
So then I'll let you go first.
No, man, you're good. You're good. So
opinion.
I think something that I wanted to point out from there was the them working with their platform partners to identify where they can improve. I believe it might have been Spartan Zero on Twitter that tweeted about a Steam account that had been in one of his lobbies cheating very visibly. That ended up oh man, lose my train of thought. That's not fun. Ended up investigating further and finding that he actually has a VAC ban, which is, you know, Valve's anti-cheat system through Steam. So it's the fact that you have players that have active Valve anti-cheat bans being able to go into Destiny somehow and cheat there with what appears to be minimal or no detection on the surface. And, I feel like they're probably working with Steam to figure out why that might be. If there is an issue, not saying there is, but if that was something that might have just not been in the cards at the time to program into the game before Shadowkeep's release. So whenever they migrated from Battle.net to Steam.
Yeah.
So that was something that I wanted to highlight real quick, just for the sake fact of, that's that right there, at least me theorizing, might be what they mean by that in working with Valve to see where they can strengthen their system, to see what they can do in regards to detection, maybe, and being more responsive with it.
Which would be very nice.
It would be very, very, very nice. I'm thankful that I haven't ran into any cheaters in trials so far. But I know a lot of people that have, and it's disheartening to be on your 7th win and have that, get taken away from you because running around with a Whisper of the Worm that shoots like Summoner does.
Well, especially when it's, the 3rd time you've run into that guy and he's ruined your card 3 times and you're like, I have reported this guy. We collectively have reported this guy 12 times or something now. Something needs to be done. And I haven't run into that many cheaters. I have had one day of trials that was exceptionally bad. Luckily for the most part, I've actually been able to beat a few of the cheaters that we've run into because they're really bad just teleporting to you and they don't have the correct cheats to keep rezzing all the time. But the statement that they put out in the TWAB, at least to me, felt really disheartening when they said go to the forums, post videos and everything like that. And if you're just someone who plays the game regularly, you're not going to do that. You're going to say, okay, well, I'm just not going to play this game then.
Yeah. It takes a special person in the community to go that extra step.
I was like, I don't mind doing that because I'm always recording my gameplay anyway. But if I wasn't doing that, I know for a fact I would not go out of my way to do that and find cheaters or anything like that.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just that's pushing more people away from the PvP community, which just makes it smaller and sweatier. And less welcoming.
You get that skill creep kind of moving in that I believe it was Ascend to know that put a good video out on that. Talking about people leaving and then the lowest tier becoming, or the higher tier now becoming the lowest tier, and so on and so forth.
So do you guys just a question, because this is a conversation that I've seen going on Twitter and on Reddit. Do you guys think that if they had put trials behind the paywall, would that have helped any of this? Possibly, or
it would have. I think it wouldn't have looked as good at the start, because we would have had a smaller player base. But I think it would help the longevity of trials, personally, just because then you don't have to worry about rampant issues like that. It will just kind of then force people who probably maybe won't do trials at the beginning or will only do it week 1 to do it later on once they finish the light seasonal content.
Right.
I think that it would have helped out a lot. And this kind of goes back to something I mentioned earlier, that when we got the first trials reveal, when we found out it was coming, whenever we finished the Empyrean Foundation, there was Shadowkeep interview cut footage of Luke Smith talking about trials returning. So this has been in the works. We know it's been in the works. I feel like even doing something as simple as you need to own Shadowkeep base to do this, would have been sufficient enough. If you own Shadowkeep, cool, because if you have a Steam account and you're coming in as a new light and you have to spend the whatever it is, the $30-$40 each time in order to cheat, that's going to discourage you right there.
I would have been curious if they had made it more like you had to beat the Shadowkeep campaign.
Yeah, so maybe even add an extra layer to it. Something a little more.
Yeah. Mills asks... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, good.
Mills asks, how would a paywall stop recovs, though? Because that is a big part of Trials culture, has been since Destiny 1 as well.
I have a questionable opinion on that. I'm still not sure how I feel completely about recovs, because part of me is like, it's not a big deal at all. Like, if someone wants to pay for that, they can pay for that. I don't understand the idea of doing that really, because that just doesn't seem worth it to me. It doesn't seem worth the money if you're not actually earning it.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't think it's a huge issue at the moment in terms of I'm not seeing recov accounts be like everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say probably roughly the same as what Rock's getting at. You know, I mean, recoveries are kind of like, if you do them cool, I'm not going to endorse it, and I'm not going to put it down either. That's your risk, and that's your however you want to handle your situation. But it's not something that I would personally recommend or condone.
Yeah, I agree with was it the Acris who's saying recoveries are way more tolerable than cheaters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right now, recoveries isn't really where my mind's at when we have much bigger problems between disconnects and cheaters in Trials. Someone wants to do a recovery, that's fine. Yeah. It is against the terms of service, so have fun.
Yeah, that's the big not going to condone it, not going to recommend it.
Yeah.
But that's your gamble.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they end up wrapping this up in a interesting way. They said, I know that some of you out there may find the statement of "we're listening" to be a repetitive cliche of community management, but the first step toward taking action is to listen. We've been collecting your feedback and looking to fully understand the root of the perceived issues that are being discussed by players in the wild. Your voice is important to us and helps us as we walk the path to what's next in Destiny 2. We'll be sure to keep you updated on our plans as they become more concrete, and we thank you for your continued feedback on the game.
Stop harassing DMG.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
That's all I'm hearing, and I completely agree with it. Like, I understand that people are upset getting a corporate response.
Right.
Which, when you have to reply to 1,000 of these messages every day on 2 different platforms or 3, like, you're going to have to give out a lot of the same response.
Yeah.
But it does mean that, it's been noted, it's been tallied, it's in the system now. And I think that's, I think, Bungie's been a little too nice in replying to everybody with like, yeah, we see this, like, we're hearing you guys, like, it's lost it's lost the same meaning where it's like when they say we hear this, it's more of it used to be like that's them saying like, yeah, this is a focus for us right now, we are feeling this too. Now it feels like they're just saying like, yeah, we hear you guys on everything.
Yeah, and I think personally it's very important to remember that they're saying we're listening, they're saying we hear you. That's, in a sense, that's a community manager's job. Yeah. That is what their job description entails most of the time. They're there to listen, they're there to take feedback, and they take that to the meetings, they take that to the developers, they take that to the programmers, and they go from there. I'm not saying at all shift any hatred or blame or anger or anguish at them. I'm saying talk, just know that you're being heard, but they're not the ones that can really do anything just yet, especially with everything going on,
Do you guys think, so back to the community managers, their job, do you think that some of these frustrations could be assuaded if maybe like some of the folks at the top were more involved in community feedback and conversation, such as like Luke Smith?
If they were more involved
if they were more involved in the community conversation overall? No?
I don't think so.
I don't know if much would change, but
I fully believe like as the director of like the game, he needs to keep a step back from everything. And I would prefer for him not to be like, trudging through all of it and hearing all of that, because then his focuses can only be what we force it to be, which isn't what anybody wants.
Right.
And I think a big thing to remember too is, what's being received by, Deej, Cosmo, DMG, all of that is at some point making it up the chain. We see in Luke Smith's director's cuts that he did last summer and recently between these seasons with the seasonal model that, he's hearing everything, he's seeing everything, but it's not entirely, I would say, his place to maybe just step in and, take some of the brunt force of the feedback. It's his place to work closely with those that are, to see where they can alleviate things and where they can improve on things as an overall, game developer company putting out a product to their fans.
Let me see if I can find it. There was a Reddit post I saw recently that I really liked. I want to say it was possibly even today. Someone was talking about how it feels like Destiny right now is missing a lead producer.
Okay,
and basically someone to just it was a real long post. So if you guys saw it and you read all of it, congratulations to you.
I don't think I've seen
read
that
earlier today. Yeah, I read it earlier today. It was along the lines of how they're not certain that the lead producer is missing, but that it seems
it feels like it.
It feels like it based on their experiences with Warframe and their experiences in that community. Is that the one that you're talking about?
That was it exactly.
Yeah.
And it just they summed it up really nicely that it feels like there isn't anybody looking at this from an outside perspective with a full goal in mind and like direction. It feels like we're not holding on to any of the core values anymore and not trudging, like pushing each other forward kind of thing.
Yeah. I just posted the link in chat. I'm just going to read the TLDR on it. Where it's Destiny has no cohesion gameplay wise while having faux cohesion narratively. Destiny has introduced 9 new gameplay systems with Destiny 2. 8 of them are completely irrelevant, and only one had cohesion with the narrative, and it's over a year old and one of the irrelevant ones. Because of the lack of direction, Destiny feels like it's just wandering aimlessly, throwing everything at the wall and trying to find what sticks, while simultaneously refusing to take notes on what did and what didn't work. That is from user I forget what I do. He posted that about a day ago.
Me too, man.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that they were talking about that had cohesion was the menagerie.
Yeah.
Which
I think they mentioned that.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to clarify. That was like the one thing they added that everybody has still been like, yeah, I loved it. I may not want to do menagerie-esque events anymore, but that was still great. Keep that.
Yeah.
So it's just, I definitely recommend reading through it. I don't know any good way to synopsize this.
Yeah. And I will say it's really weird. Last night, just perusing Twitter before I went to bed, and it looks like this might have been around that time where it, came out. This specific Reddit post came out. I noticed a lot of people playing the Menagerie.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people in there over the past 24 hours, and I don't know if this was part of that or not, but
people are finally going for those mods from her.
Yeah, it was just so random to me. I just noticed so many people saying, "Hey, running Menagerie, hop in," and I'm like, why are we all running the Menagerie right now? Not that I love that. I love that, piece of content. That was phenomenal.
Well, and it's a good way to farm rolls on weapons too. Like, it seems like, I think he makes mention of it in the article. Is that it seems like a ready-made thing where you could add different weapons into that for different recipes.
You don't even have to change. I was going to say, you don't have to change any other recipes. Just change out the rewards. Imagine if it cycled every season and was just funneling old seasons items, and that's how they refreshed them.
Yeah,
that you guys can get them when world drops, or you can get them in the Menagerie if you really want to hunt for that dire promise or spare rations, as I saw someone saying in the chat. Oh, it was Light Razor. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Do you guys want to move on to the emblems?
What's your favorite emblem?
Oh, man, it's tough. It's a tough one. Personally, I like rocking the one from the solo the solo dungeon from.
I still don't have that one.
I'm working on that. That's like my next.
It's pretty solid. It's a good
adventure.
one. Let me see. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but I rock it on my hunter always.
Like something sanguine.
It's called the Eternal Return.
Oh yeah.
I rocked that one quite a bit. It's from Shattered Throne. I got that after running it solo and was like, I'm never taking this off, and have mostly kept that promise to myself.
That's a good one.
But they're also they introduced stat trackers that you can change at the beginning of the new UI update.
Yeah.
So
the ones we lost.
Yeah, it ruffled a lot of feathers. So they're going to be they've shown a bunch of stats that they'll be adding with hotfix 2.8.1.
Do we want to read through all of these?
I don't know if we want to read through all of them.
Oh man, I'm going through this list and it's getting even.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah.
Brain hurt.
Are you about to go to sleep? About to go to sleep. But so, how do you feel? Were you guys affected by this? How did you feel overall? Is it just a cosmetic thing, or?
Oh yes, it's 100% cosmetic. But I was still upset to lose that. Destiny becomes Drestiny at a certain point every season, and the stat trackers you can use are really important, especially if you have like friends who have the same stats as you because you guys were doing something together. It feels great to be able to pull that up and just always be like, oh yeah, we are a squad. Like fear us when you go in somewhere. And you lost that. And they're not bringing back everything, but they're bringing back a lot, which is really good.
Right.
Yeah. They're bringing back I think the one big one I saw two major ones I would say that a lot of people wanted back, and it was the gold medals in Crucible, which I agree with
because I now track individual medals too.
Yeah, and the individual ones. But I believe the other one was the fractaline, however you want to say it, because to me that was just a very weird call. We had a stat tracker last season tracking all these people getting these huge donation numbers, and then this season it's like,
and then to lose it the next season as if it didn't happen.
It's like that never happened. You didn't see anything.
Yeah,
it went against what we've been told. I felt like where they're like kind of more the show off what you did in the past and other people can't get anymore, and you're like, well, how?
Yeah, how does it matter if I can't show it off after I completed it? So,
yeah, that was a really weird call to me. I was like, why?
I do need to add that the one stat tracker they did not bring back that I've heard the most guff about not hearing is the heroic public events.
Yeah.
I have a friend who grinded out like hundreds of them, and he's now very upset that he can't show that off.
Well, maybe one day. Maybe.
One day.
That's pretty much it from the TWAB. It was a
real
super
lightweight
this week.
Boys.
That's I was gonna say that's about where it cuts off.
Yeah. So we have before we go into audience questions, we've got a couple. I want to ask you guys something. This is something that always comes up somewhere in the show, like every few months. What's your favorite exotic?
Currently, Dune Marchers, because they're busted.
How so?
They gave them an extra range, like from 12-meter range that the tagged melee damage will do up to 20 meters now. So it's almost doubled, and the amount of times where you just get a second or third kill by accident and you kind of look around like, oh, there's no one near me now, is the most tightening experience I've ever had of looking around dumbfounded that one punch killed 3 people. And you're just like, on my way.
That's excellent.
For me, armor-wise, I would have to say it didn't become my favorite Warlock exotic until the changes made at the beginning of Season of Dawn. And that's the Claws of Ahamkara with Top Tree Solar. so I could just run around Crucible spamming Celestial Fire. But you get 2 fireballs at once. Dude, I was doing this thing where I would just roll in, Icarus dash in, and Celestial Fire, and then one shot, you know?
Oh,
and you're
dumb.
taking it was pretty crazy at first. And I'm like, oh man, this just became my favorite thing to do.
So you become a real Warlock attack helicopter now, shooting rockets from the sky.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Not a fan.
I disapprove of all of it.
9 times out of 10, I don't think to look that high up. You're not supposed to stay that high up. We don't have wings.
The vertical game, man.
Yeah, man. I still need to get good at that, ironically. Look, I'm the best worst warlock there is, all right? I'm a warlock. I'm a warlock main that plays like a titan with the stealth of a hunter.
I don't like it.
But none of the attributes that make a warlock good.
Mills in chat. Do you know who hates Dune Marchers? Carol Baskins. All right. Anyways, moving on.
Man.
So moving on to community questions. External Memory asks, how does the stream team feel about making Trial Season Pass required every season to mitigate? Well, we just talked about that, so never mind. External, we already answered that. Mills asks, congrats to all the new members. What advice would you give to those who are striving to join teams like PD? What was your experience being invited to join PD? What was the moment like when you guys got invited?
For me, it was exciting. When it comes to advice, I would say, my history with this was, I became affiliated on Twitch about a year ago this month, and
congratulations.
Not too long after that, I think it was in the beginning of Season of Opulence, just to give some time frame perspective. I had applied actually to be on the stream team, and at the time, I had just transitioned from making primarily Borderlands content into Destiny content. So it was a transition period. Not a lot of people in the community really knew that's what I was doing. And I think for me, the biggest thing would be, and I did get rejected that first time around. But the key thing is to not take that kind of stuff to heart and push yourself to expand what you're doing. Push yourself to, learn from every stream, learn from your interactions with people, and kind of just keep going until you yourself feel like you're in a good enough place where you can apply to teams like this and say with confidence, like, I think I might have a chance at this. And I think that's key. I think the big thing is self-confidence, because it never hurts to apply. Yeah. But it's how you receive what happens after that is where you grow. And that's just my take on it.
Yeah. You rock?
Yeah. I definitely had the same feeling when I applied, that it was like, I feel like I can, I feel ready or comfortable enough to do this. Like I have something to bring to the table. Whereas I've seen different teams, also the Planet Destiny one too, previously ask for people to join, and I was like, no, I don't think I really fit yet. My experience with the whole as a whole with it so far was more just like happy surprises. I finished up streaming, stepped into my kitchen, looked at my phone, and was like, oh, Moonvault followed me. I know that name. What?
That's awesome.
And then had a quick interview, and she was like, so we want to do this. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's done
to do this. Yeah. I was like, it was a lot of like, oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Excited surprises.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
That's awesome.
And I was helping a couple buddies of mine from IRL that were like, hey, we're all stuck at home. We've all decided to play Destiny. We know you're the one that knows how to do things. Can you show us? So when Moon had messaged me, I had actually been trying to drag 5 new lights through Leviathan. It didn't go well. We had a good time. When it ended, I was like, "Hey guys, I just got a very important message. I gotta go.
I gotta dip out.
It's like I gotta bounce. So see you tomorrow." But yeah, so everything, all of the above.
Yeah, confidence is very key. I think that is probably the most confidence in being able to do the job, because it's an interesting situation that you put yourself in when you join stream teams. I was on the stream team and the podcast at the same time for a little while, and I had experiences with that when I was on Destiny Tracker's stream team as well. It's a lot of confidence. It's a lot of showing your work. You have to show your work in order for people to kind of see that you're a fit for something. And it's
I mean, if you're going to be streaming in general, you're going to have to build a lot of confidence up just in yourself.
Just hit the button.
It's every single time.
Hit the button, hope for the best.
Maze asks, what are your thoughts on the bunkers?
I like robots a lot. I like the robots.
Huge fan of robots?
Yeah, I really think those are fun. I think that's the only bunker upgrade I have gotten so far for every single bunker.
Yeah.
And that's the extent of my experience with the bunkers.
So I had actually last night, I just mastered the moon bunker in time for this week.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it felt like a very light grind. If you get the correct pattern of upgrades right off the gate, and if you're running just strikes, crucible, whatever it might be, you can farm up enough Warmind bits easily if you're combining the buffs from the EDZ bunker and the moon bunker to just stockpile and be ready for doing this kind of thing. I think I had mine about halfway upgraded.
It seemed like last season it took longer to upgrade the planetary obelisks.
Yeah, it took a lot longer.
At the end of the season they all started to stack on each other and you were getting those crazy stonks, but right now it's it feels a little too early for it.
Yeah.
The thing I've been telling everybody is just play as casually as you can. Get the stuff that looks fun and interesting first.
Yep.
And just enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And one more thing I wanted to mention. Overload fallen captains.
Auto rifles. Auto rifles are the way to go.
They are a
swords, dude.
pain.
Swords
are that's it. That's it.
4 quick slices. That's all it is. 4 quick slices.
Yes.
They're cake.
As a solo PvEer for the most part, I was using an auto rifle so that I could just keep them in one position and not have them move. Keep reloading, and they just didn't move, and you'd unload 4 clips in them and they'd be dead. Takes a little bit of time, but it was stress free.
You don't have to reload a sword.
All right.
You don't have to go
here
before you slice into the guy.
Hear me out. Anarchy. I cannot put it down.
That was useful. Oh man, that was. Oh, that is one of my.
We're in the old PvE meta right now. It's mountaintop, recluse, anarchy all over again.
Yeah,
it really is.
I dislike what they did to anarchy and barriers. They took out my favorite thing. It used to be you took down the barrier, you took down the barrier by hitting them with the anarchy shot. It would take down their health, and then they'd pop the barrier. But if you put the weapon on that had the barrier on it, recluse, what have you, it would just pop that shield off immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, loved it. Anyways, the bunkers are a cheaper idea of the obelisks, because you only have to get it up to 7, right? And I think it takes about 3,000 bits to upgrade it fully if you do it in the right order. That's
something like that, yeah.
The entire 7th column, then the 5th column, and then the 3rd column.
Yeah, somewhere between 3 and
top
3,500.
down. Yeah, so it's
I've been hearing.
Just
I can't say I
stockpile.
have done that myself, but
I think a thing for me
get ready for something like the end of last season again. I don't know why, but I feel like it's coming.
Oh yeah, they're
I
addicted.
feel
on
like
them.
we're gonna see
Invest.
something happen. I would say like it's weird for me because while the bunkers supplement like the legendary lost sector content and the
Which is
the
fantastic,
bunker
by the way.
clearing with like the heavy frames, the javelin upgrades, it feels very odd to me. And the public event feels very odd to me. It just doesn't feel like it just feels disconnected in a weird way. Like, we have the bunkers, we have this kind of thing going on, but they're still just same old outside of that.
Yeah.
Like you can't be running through a strike and like, oh, look, there's a javelin vent that just showed up in this strike.
Do you think they keep the legendary lost sectors post this season? Do you think that they keep the champions in a version of it? Or
I certainly hope so. They feel too small to get rid of. I don't know if that makes total sense. But
yeah,
I can see what you're saying. Yeah,
it seems like it's like a little thing that is like you can redo it and it has good replayability to it. So I don't see why they would get rid of it. But at the same time, if they are just getting rid of the bunkers, I don't know how they would implement that.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming they are just going to
probably
on the bunkers as soon as the season's over.
Yeah. Or just like show a closed top on it.
It's like can't get in, stay out.
Rasputin is upset with you. You offended him yet again.
And by the end, it's like, you didn't give me enough coins.
Yeah, right. No matter how many we turn in,
I'm very upset with you right now. Why didn't you give me more coins? You don't get the opportunity to give me any more.
Except it's just this giant conglomeration of garbled Russian.
Yeah, he's an angry streamer. He needs his bits.
Barry asks, for the final question of the evening, how would you feel about set weapon loadouts and trials? Maybe just for the first 3 matches?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Why?
Because 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to want to run what the loadout is. I enjoy heavily changing my loadout mid-match to try and compete whoever I'm playing against. And if you're playing trials, 9 times out of 10, I change my weapon 6 times by the time the match is over because something doesn't feel right. Maybe they swap to a sniper, so now I need to swap to something to compete. And I would feel very pigeonholed, and I feel like a lot of other people would once again just say, no, I don't want to do that. I mean, look at Prestige, Leviathan, Spire Stars, and all of that stuff where they do have forced loadouts. Everyone waits for the 1 week where it says rocket launcher on the heavy slot, and then it's Spire of Stars week. Like, if you want a trials week where it's like, all right, this is the sniper week and this is the shoddy week, sure, but I would not enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's gonna sound weird, but like I don't know if I'd even see a point in it necessarily, because you would have people going in with the most meta loadout from the start regardless. Now there might be people that switch off, but realistically, I don't know, maybe I'm just not as good a PvP player as I think I am, but I don't typically swap my loadout out unless I see that there's a need for it, you know, like a desperate need for it. I usually get comfortable with 2 separate loadouts that, may experiment with the meta, may play with the meta, but I'm not really finding a good legitimate reason as to why that would, nothing in my head makes sense as to whether like that wouldn't really do anything.
Right. I feel like the goal would be to stop the main reason someone would want that is to stop Revoker Hardlight and having the, Trials laser light show that we have.
Well,
but it doesn't feel like that's as strong as it was the first week anymore. I don't see people running it. I see a lot of auto rifles, but they're not. I don't see a ton of just Hardlight or just Revokers.
Yeah. And we perennially we kind of bristle at Iron Banner having loadouts, like forcing you into doing a loadout that you're not exactly comfortable with.
Remember the rocket launcher
Yeah,
stuff?
the
that
rocket
everyone
launcher stuff.
hated?
We
That
talked
they,
about that
they
last
literally
week.
made it so that it's just complete.
Yeah. Yeah. And like there's a challenge to it, sure. But is it a worthwhile challenge that makes you look at a weapon in a different light, or is it something that makes you say, "All right, I'm going to do this for these like 25 kills and then I'll never touch this again."
Yep.
So
yeah,
Usually the second one.
Yeah.
usually that.
So, yeah, I don't know. Good conversations today, guys. Good work.
Yeah.
Welcome to the team.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you.
I am so stoked for this. I am so excited, chat.
All right. So, folks, that has been episode 234 of the Planet Destiny podcast. Before we leave, we're going to let you know where you can find everybody on the internet, starting with you. Sin on Twitch. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/SinTrigger96. You can also find me on Twitter at SinOnTwitch. I love having conversations with people over Twitter. I love having conversations with people over Twitch. I try my best to respond to everybody, but I definitely do like, having good conversations and meeting awesome people. So feel free to say hi. I'm really friendly with that.
All right. And you, Rock?
If you guys just want to see the content that I put out, Twitch and YouTube are both under the same name, Rock_Whisperer. And then if you want to see anything else, I recommend going onto my Twitter. It's the same name, at Rock_Whisperer. Or tomorrow morning for my birthday first stream on Planet Destiny.
Happy
Congratulations.
early birthday, dude.
Happy birthday. I'd ask how old.
Thank you.
I'd ask how old, but then I'd feel bad
24.
about myself. So
if you guys, I don't know if that's old or young depends on who you are.
Nobody wants to play the age game with me.
How old are you?
How old do you think I am?
How old do I think? I'm going to think.
That's a loaded question, Sin.
You got 96 in your name. So I'm going to think that you're about 33, 34. Or 23, 24. I'm 33.
Oh, man. I walked right into that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in your
Never
name,
mind.
dude.
I concede.
Same year as me, Sin. Nice.
There you go. Young guns.
96 babies.
Yeah, young guns. All right. My name's Danfinity. I'm 33 years old. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Danfinity, but the I's are L's. You can find me on Twitch several days a week. Twitch.tv/Danfinity. I don't know what we're going to be playing this week. I have no idea. Possibly some Borderlands 3. Maybe some Destiny 2. Doing some PvE. Just clean up stuff overall for the season. With that, you also be sure to check out the podcast that I do on the side called Side Quests, in which I interviewed Rock City Roller this past Friday. Excellent dude. But all right. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.